this undercurrent that a private guy hacks in like this, and now, of course, at this particular time, it becomes official that he did this. What's your take on that?
Well, I mean, I don't know. At this point in the game, anything is possible.
Yeah.
And what I can say is that whether or not that's the case, it could prove to be more interesting than most people right now know. I mean, I know that last month the courts there in Britain cleared the way for his extradition to the United States.
Yeah.
And you know, over here he might face 50 years, essentially life in prison.
Yeah.
And especially if he's tried in a military court over here. But then on the other hand, there's some precedent that you know, a secret enemy combatant like trial isn't going to work in this case. And it could be that pressure, people who are listening to this radio broadcast probably are aware that he's kind of becoming something of a cause celeb, you know, in the underground there in the UK.
Yeah.
And it could put a lot of pressure on the United States, either to allow him to be tried in the UK, or if they follow through with the extradition, which I'm assuming they will, that the trial be public here in the U.S. and not a military trial. But I think the government's going to go for a military trial. And even if they do, that information could be leaked into the public.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have at least one high-ranking contact that at appropriate times gives me information. I know how this works. I know that it could happen that if some intelligent defense attorney who's defending McKinnon, even in a closed trial, starts raising questions about either UFO back engineering or even anti-gravity experiments that were being funded in the U.S. by black budgets or SAPOC budgets, things that taxpayers over here are paying for and don't even know about. I mean, that could really put a lot of egg on both the existing and past administration's faces. So I don't know. But I guess the point is that when you're talking about official disclosure and where we are now, I think people can expect this year we're going to see a real ratcheting up. And here's another thing that I would tell people to watch for. It's already happening, and I predicted this was going to happen last year, and it's going to get much more significant in the next few months.
Yeah.
And that is this marriage between science and religion on the issue of official disclosure. And the reason is because when official disclosure is made, those are the two fields of study, science and religion, where most of the world is going to be looking for answers. They're going to be looking for explanations. People of faith are going to want to know what it means to their worldview. People of science are going to want to know what it means to their worldview. And so I think, Henrik, first of all, we'll see more and more coming out now.
Yeah.
We've already seen some news stories about recent improvements in our understanding of general relativity, and how that is causing some people to believe in the whole idea of wormholes or stargates, matter that we haven't understood before in the past, how that could be manipulated by unknowns, by superintelligences.
Of course.
Who are appearing and disappearing through these, you know, Alan Holt, back in '79, he defined what's called the field reconnaissance space-time tunneling, or what today we talk about as wormholes, stargates, this whole idea that there could be these hyperspace tunnels that could connect remote regions of our universe, or maybe different dimensions. You know, this week there's a study that's going on here in the U.S. Where scientists are trying to test whether they can find the fifth dimension.
I saw that article on your site. Excellent, and it's very interesting. There have been quite a few, just as you say, of these kind of articles lately. And do you think that these kinds of subjects, that they will emerge somehow and present a unified theory, or what's your take on that?
No, I do. I mean, I think right now with the M-brain theory, you know, there are scientists now that are kind of debunking the superstring theory, but the bottom line is science, you know, is an investigation of what we don't yet understand, but what's based on good science models.
Yeah.
And now, but you know, years ago, the whole idea that there could be some method for intelligences that may be millions or billions or trillions of years in advance of our knowledge.
Yeah.
That they could somehow manipulate wormhole technology. We're talking about when we're talking about wormholes or stargates, you might be talking about far distances of galaxies that are somehow connected through a portal, or we can be talking about even different dimensions.
Yeah.
And not just the fifth dimension. Now we're all the way up to, I think, something like 12 dimensions in theoretical science, or quantum science. But now we're even talking about maybe different moments in time. E.T., in other words, could be us. Trillions of years into the future, billions of years into the future, coming back and peering through and looking at ourselves and studying ourselves. I mean, the whole idea of that sounds fantastic. It sounds more esoteric than exoteric.
Yeah,
But the bottom line is, it's based now on good science. It's based on science models that we actually can understand that there could be these beings that are traveling through these space-time tunnels from either incredibly far distances to the Earth in matters of seconds, or maybe even at speeds greater than light, or maybe they exist all around us in parallel universes, and they're simply moving from one universe to the other.
Yeah.
But it's this marriage of science and religion. So on the one hand, you have that kind of information that's coming at us now, and I think you're going to see more and more and more of it. It's going to ratchet up at a phenomenal pace over the next year and a half.
Yeah.
But what it's also doing is it's putting pressure on religious institutions, some of whom also have intellectuals who are part of their hierarchy, who also study astronomy and physics and quantum mathematics,
yes.
and they're becoming increasingly convinced that that the world's great faiths need to accept the possibility of ET, and they better prepare their doctrinal positions to be able to explain to their followers what that could mean as they describe it in their own ways, within their own belief systems, and the whole idea being that how these ETs have been for eons somehow incarnating themselves through these dimensional openings into our three-dimensional reality, or fourth dimension if you had time, or fifth dimension if these guys this week, So, last year I think I rang a few bells. It's been maybe about a year ago, because it was when my book, The Ahriman Gate. By the way, for those that don't know how to spell that, it's Ahriman. But when the book, The Ahriman Gate, first came out, I was doing a radio show, and I had predicted that within 90 days or so, documents would come out of the Vatican. Now, I was able to predict that not because I'm a seer, but because I had information, legitimate information that was given to me, and that within 90 days or so, documentation would be coming out of the Vatican, which would support the whole idea that we are closer now than ever before, and that we have a greater than not possibility. That's the position now of guys like Guy Cosmonalgo, a Jesuit, an astronomer, Jose Fuentes, Monsignor Caroldo Balducci, many of the leaders within the Vatican now who study in this field, and by the way, whose work is being published by Vatican-owned publishing houses, meaning that it's passing a review committee, so that it's both good in terms of theology and also maybe appropriate in terms of what the Vatican would want to communicate to their followers. And the reason why the Vatican is important in all of this, of course, is because of the large number of people around the world that they represent in terms of Christianity, in terms of one of the great faiths.
Of course.
And we all know that in terms of official disclosure, whenever the leaders of the world and both government and religious leaders of the world walk out into the well of the United Nations, or however they choose to do this, and say, ladies and gentlemen, we're in contact with extraterrestrial intelligence, we all know that the Pope is going to be there.
Yeah, absolutely.
He would have to be there. And so now think about, in the last year, how many publications have come out in terms of writing various things that would accommodate official disclosure. and from the Vatican, and not the least of which, of course, was intelligent life in the universe, the Catholic belief, the search for extraterrestrial intelligent life by Guy Cosmonago, which was published by the Catholic Truth Society. But so, and one other thing, and then maybe I should get off of that. But
no, please go ahead. Yeah,
it's interesting. If you read my book, The Ahriman Gate, there's a guy, there's a priest in there by the name of Malachi Molina. But that character is actually based on the real life Malachi Martin.
Yeah.
Who I had a great deal of respect for.
Yeah.
And what I tell people is, don't forget this, because this is easy to forget. But don't forget that in 1997, on Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell, Bell asked Father Malachi Martin why the Vatican was so invested in the study of deep space at the Advanced Technology Telescope, that project there at Mount Carmel in Arizona.
Yeah.
And it was Malachi's answer when he said, because the mentality among those who are at the highest levels of the Vatican administration and geopolitics know, and what he said was astonishing, because his answer was, they know what is approaching us. And now he's talking about, why are we studying deep space?
Yeah.
And Malachi says, because they know what is approaching us, and that it could be of great importance within the next 5 to 10 years. And I would tell people, remember that Malachi was an eminent theologian. He was a retired professor of the Pontifical Biblical Institute. He was uniquely qualified to hold in secret information pertaining to the Vatican study of deep space.
Yeah.
And why would he have said we're studying deep space? Because we're concerned with what's approaching us and the fact that it could be very relevant within the next 5 to 10 years. And then that show was followed in subsequent interviews with discussions of what Malachi described as a mysterious object in the sky, a sign in the sky that he believed was approaching the world from the north. Now, he died in 1999, of course, not before allegedly telling his good friend Art Bell a secret that all of us would like to know, and that some people believe it relates to this space object. But the bottom line is, think of that 5 to 10 year time frame. We're standing today literally at the threshold. There's only 12 months left now in what Malachi Martin predicted in terms of what would be both relevant and important, and was known to be important by the hierarchy at the Vatican. And now, all of a sudden, in the past 18 months, we have this plethora of information coming out of the Vatican that's saying that the discovery, the disclosure of extraterrestrial intelligence will not threaten the Catholic Church. Potentially, these beings even could be evangelized. I mean, they're really going out of their way now to accommodate that.
They are.
So I just think, Henrik, that when you're talking about official disclosure, you're going to see, I think, a ratcheting up now of both information, viable information coming from reputable resources, both on the scientific side and also on the religion side, from the guys that I'm talking to in the background, who are connected at the hip with people both in the current administration, past administration, and also in the military. There's an echo. By the way, there's an echo through the Pentagon now that is saying that we might be facing the imminent return of the gods of Samaria. So, I mean,
really?
from all different kinds